On today's episode, we're answering the question, no, we're not, because I'm on the wrong damn outline.
I also want to make a distinction here. When you were looking at becoming a website builder, website designer, you were learning up. You were seeing, hey, I might be able to make this my business. I can make money at this. And so if that's where you are, you're like, you know what? I want to add this to my list of services, spend the time to learn it. That's fine. But I'm a copywriter. I do not have business playing in Canva as much as I do. I'm going to just put it out there. Jenny's shaking her head at me. I love playing in Canva. I love it. But I don't have any business being in there. So, yeah, I need to outsource it because that's something that I'm able to do. I also want to talk about understanding your own personal rhythms and cycles and schedules and that sort of thing. Okay, so a lot of advice out there is, oh, get up really super early before the house is awake so you have quiet time to work. Well, that is awesome advice for someone like me, who I routinely wake up around 4:30 to 5 o'clock in the morning with no alarm. But for someone like Jenny,
Yeah, that doesn't work for me.
that does not work for Jenny. But you know what does work for Jenny is working later.
Yeah,
So
later.
Jenny tends to work late. I tend to start work early and stop earlier. So we know those personal rhythms and schedules, and she'll wake up in the morning and have a bajillion messages from me starting at around 4:30 to 5 o'clock when I've started to work. Hey, this is what I'm thinking, this is what I've gotten done, check this out, all those things. And when I wake up in the morning, I tend to have messages from her the night before. Great. Do
Works
you
well for
do
us.
exactly? Think about things like, do you do better when you're on 4 hours of back-to-back calls and then you have the rest of the day to do solo tasks? I am. Jenny's not. So I try not to schedule calls willy-nilly throughout the day. I try to set myself up pretty back to back. I like to have a little break in between, like 15 minutes, but Jenny prefers to space her calls out so that she has time to reset and accomplish something in between each one. That's just how we operate. Those are our personal rhythms.
And we only figure them out by trial and error.
Oh, yeah.
I've done the back
Yeah.
to backs. I've done the 4 hours of back to back. And by the
And
end of
I've
it,
done the willy-nilly, right.
I'm like, no touchies, no talkies. Like none of it. Zzz, gone. Don't, I just need to be, I need to recharge my batteries. I'm an introvert and I need to recharge my batteries. And I recharge my batteries by being quiet and being solo and having gregarious, conversations or being outbound is very challenging for me.
I think too, it also leads to, and I just want to dive into this because this is another way that we're different. You will also break up your day as far as work and non-work. So you'll work for a couple hours and then you'll go for a walk. And then you'll work for a couple hours and then you'll take a break and spend time with your partner. And then you'll work for a couple hours and do this. I can't do that. I am a work my solid and then be done. Again, it's our own personal rhythm, but as you can see, we're completely different on this. That doesn't mean that we try to do what the other does. It
Doesn't
means that we
fit.
know right, it doesn't fit. We know ourselves. Also, consider your schedule. Do you know that the first week of the month is always crazy for you, or maybe the last week you have a ton of back office stuff? Don't book calls during those times. Put yourself as a no-go on the calendar. When I have copy deadlines, like when I send a proposal, I put the deadline that I've given them on my calendar. I block it off right then. If they don't accept it, which rarely happens, but if they don't accept it, I take that off and I open the day back up, but block it off when it happens. Understand how you work, or not how others think you should work or how you wish you would work, and kind of create your business around that.
Absolutely. And investing in people and systems that are going to make your business run better helps you sort of play into these rhythms as well, right? So making sure that you're spending the money in the business where it's necessary to run better. You can't run a business, a profitable business, on free software forever. It limits your ability to scale. It limits your ability to do things at a really good level. Eventually, you will have to start spending some money in your business if you want to scale things up and if you want to be more successful, right? So taking a look at those YouTube videos that you're editing or graphics that you're working on, as Allison was mentioning earlier with Canva, do you really need to be doing that? You know, I have had to pull Allison out of Canva kicking and screaming, and I will continue to do so because she needs to focus on other things. She's brilliant at other things, and that's where she needs to put her time and energy. Take a look at what you can outsource and how that makes sense in your business. It's not that you need to go and hire 6 people to be on your team, an OBM and a project manager and a this and a that, and all these different kinds of people, and spend more than half your income on outsourcing. Outsource in the beginning, if you want to, on little things that you should not be touching, like hiring, if you're like Allison, hiring a graphic designer to help with the graphics, and then moving your way up. Should you be doing that video editing? Maybe you can get a video editor. Are you recording a podcast and need podcast editing? Look at that next. And making sure that you're using the right software to make what you do easier. Allison pulled me out of Aweber back in the day because I was using Aweber for my business under somebody else's recommendation. I used it for four or 5 years, and it wasn't working for me. It wasn't efficient. And Allison's like, you got to try ActiveCampaign. Tried ActiveCampaign. It's incredibly efficient. And now I recommend it to like almost everybody because of its efficiency, and it makes it easier to do business. And that's the kind of things that you need to look at doing.
I want to touch on the outsourcing thing because I do have a couple of different people that I work with in my business to help me accomplish some things. And one of them is my VA, and she's amazing. And what I've realized is I can give her a task and then I'm still a bottleneck because I need to prepare something or I give her a special document or whatever. Well, why am I doing that? Right? So I empower the people that I work with to take those processes over completely. And we'll talk about this in a little bit when it comes to mindset, but it's not just, I still need to do this so I have control. It's, I need this done. I'm not the person to do it. Take it from me, please. And that's a mindset thing. Like I said, we're going to talk about in a little bit, but freeing up my time from being involved in the process at all is a process. We've created this process where it's done. They check it, right? So my VA will post our show notes for me, and she knows, go in and check the spreadsheet and grab the transcript from here and do this, and she knows where all the information is, and she posts it. She checks to see when a new one is ready. She does it. It's done. I don't have any involvement. It's wonderful. It's amazing. It frees up so much energy. Yes, they might only take you 5 minutes to do, but it frees up the energy of thinking about it. So think what kind of processes you can put in place for the people that you hire as well. Choose the right activities. So our next bucket is priorities, and I want you to choose the right activities for your business that make sense. What makes sense for what you want to achieve? What do you want to accomplish? If you just throw everything at the wall, and trust me, this has taken a long time of Jenny bugging me for every day for years, wanting to wring my neck and shake me like a rag doll. You have to figure out the direction that you're going if you're ever going to get there. And actually, we have an upcoming episode with Alex Bruckman. Did I say his last name right? I know he's got that amazing.
You did really well. Yeah, you did really well. You did really well.
And I think it's episode 99 where we're going to dive into this even more, but really look at what you want to accomplish and what you need to do to get there.
Planning is key. Y'all know I love planning. If you've been listening to this podcast for any more than 30 seconds, you'll know that planning is definitely on my list of planning of things I like to do. So planning is definitely what you're going to need to do here. Planning your day. If you want to get stuff done, you're going to have to kind of plan it out. If you want to do the willy-nilly thing and hope that you lick in a prayer and hope that it gets done, good luck to you. Wish you all the best. You're not going to be my people. I like the planners. And I have been slowly carving Allison away at getting into the more of the planning thing. And that's great. She's doing it more, and she's worked on me in other ways as well. But planning so you can get stuff done, however you prefer to do it. If you're a post-it note person or a list person, or if you need to use a project management software, find a system that works. And then once you've figured it out and it works for you, stick to it. Allison and I over time have tried various project management softwares, and we are trying to use them. And then we kind of fall off the wagon with it because it doesn't really fit our process. So don't try and fit yourselves into a system that doesn't work for you. Allison uses paper and pen and post-it notes. I use paper and pen as well on, to write my lists. I've tried using Asana, Monday, ClickUp, Trello, things like that. Now I do use Trello. For certain things because it is great, but it's more long-term tasks versus the short-term everyday stuff. Short-term everyday, I'm still pen and paper and I use a highlighter. That's what works for me.
I love that you said to use what works for you, because I always say I'm really good at setting up project management systems. I'm not good at using them, and it's not a good use of my time. So you cannot fit yourself into somebody else's mold. When it comes to the tasks that you prioritize, and if you are a pen and paper list person like me, you can make them different colors, you can number them. Priority number 1 generates revenue now. These are proposals, lead magnet or paid product promotions, sales calls, that kind of stuff, connecting, DMing with leads, those sorts of things. Priority number 2 generates revenue soon. You're going to notice a theme here. Projects that are 1 to 3 months out, like a webinar that's going to launch a course or push people to a sales call, things like that. Priority number 3 generates revenue eventually. This is stuff like content, which can be batched and repurposed. And I know we did a couple episodes or an episode on that. We'll link it in the show notes. Networking is a generates revenue eventually. All right. Now, Jenny and I are probably going to do an episode on this in the future, but do not discount the power of your network. I have made a lot of money from my network, but if it's a choice between a networking event or a sales call, pick the sales call. That is a revenue now generator. Priority number 4 are things that do not generate revenue at all. These are the things that you feel like should be done for whatever reason. Reorganizing your Dropbox folders. Okay? I am just as guilty of this as everyone else on the planet. I will fall down a rabbit hole and decide something needs to happen for whatever reason. I will go on AppSumo and buy software that I have no use for just because I've got shiny object syndrome. Or
I'll wake up in the morning and you've reorganized our entire Google Drive.
I've done that. Why am I doing that? I'll tell you why. And again, this is going to really play into bucket number 4. I am procrastinating and distracting myself from work that should be done. Okay. Priority number 4 items are actually not priority items at all. These should be outsourced if they are necessary, or more likely completely struck from your list. Stop it.
This is a great lead into mindset, which is our 4th bucket, because those priority number 4 tasks that we were just talking about, those are things that satisfy something in your brain, the organizational or the procrastination or the something, I've got to fill space time. And those are not intentional activities. And again, we want to reference this episode that we did, episode 99, that's coming up shortly, is if you're listening to this, where we talk about intentional work and intentional strategy in your business. It's the work that you do just to feel busy. It's the work that you do just to fill space and feel like you did something for a couple hours. Congrats. But did it really move your business forward? Probably not. Will you eventually need to organize those folders? Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit more about the mindset piece. And being an entrepreneur is incredibly difficult. It's really, really hard. If everybody could do it, they would, as people say. But most online businesses tend to fail in the first year. And then the next biggest dip is also around year 3 or year 5. depending on who you listen to in sources. But you must have a stick it out, make it happen mindset. And you also have to embrace the suck. I say this a lot, suck it up, buttercup. Like, poop is going to be there and it is going to be uncomfortable. And you're going to have days where you're just like, hands up, I'm done. I want out. I am done with this. This is insane. I don't know why I thought I could do this. I would rather go bag groceries. And that's going to happen. But then you're going to realize that you're doing this for a reason and you have a purpose. So drill down in your mindset to the reason, the purpose that you're doing this. Is it to be closer to your family? Is it to help add some wealth and some money into your family, some generational wealth? Is it to stay away from working in a corporate environment? What is it? What's your why? And understand that and use that as a driver.
We've all heard the horror stories. The times the marketing campaigns fail, seriously, I was doing so damn good.
I'm gonna mute.